When you think about big game pitchers during his era, you think about this guy, and that is Curt Schilling. And he's opinionated as well. He joins us now. Hey, Curt. Mark Malusis, Maggie Gray, thanks for a couple minutes this afternoon.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Curt, how closely are you following what's going on with the Astros this morning and their apology tour?
I followed the initial story. All the stuff after it's, fluff. It doesn't change anything. I mean, I was talking to a couple different people about this when it happened, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, now Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame because the Astros cheated; they get to keep their World Series." I was thinking about that series and how it played out and how the Astros played out, and I was thinking about how Clayton Kershaw feels knowing they came back against him 3 times down 2 runs.
Yeah.
It's fixing a game. I don't know any other way to put it, because I can tell you this: if they were doing that to me in the postseason, I wouldn't have gotten an out.
Well, Curt, how big? And you know that you would know this better. How big of an advantage? Jim Crane's trying to downplay it, saying it's not tainted.
Let me explain to you.
How big of an advantage?
Simple. It's very simple to explain. So I'm facing you. You're the hitter. I'm the pitcher. I throw 98 miles an hour, and I can put the ball in both corners of the plate. And the only other pitch I really throw effectively is a split. The split is never a strike, but you chase it because it looks like my fastball. Now you face me, and all you have to worry about is my fastball, because when every split's coming, you're not going to swing.
Yeah, it's a massive advantage. It's more about laying off the pitches.
It's hard to explain how massive of an advantage that is.
Yeah, and I think that's why Jim Crane's comments this morning, if you didn't hear them, Curt, and we're talking with Curt Schilling, it rings really hollow. And he says, we don't know what type of an advantage it really gave our team, and we know we won the World Series, and we're going to leave it at that. Do you feel like the Astros 2017 World Series title should be vacated?
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, that doesn't do anybody any good. I mean, can you go back and tell me how many college programs have had their national titles taken away? Mm-hmm. It doesn't do anything. I mean, the only way to punish some to ensure it never happened again for me was to take their draft away this year and to make them ineligible for the postseason.
Mm. Yeah.
Then it impacts the players, and that's the frustrating. Yeah, go ahead, Curt.
But there are a lot of players it should impact.
Yeah, fair.
The unfortunate part, though, the fan kind of pays for that, but because you're basically watching a team for a season that doesn't have a chance to make the postseason. But again, I'm not so sure that this is almost like steroids. I don't think they're the first team that's ever done it, and we caught them.
Mm-hmm.
Curt, how about the players? Because I think that's the frustrating aspect. You mentioned take away the draft. Can't make it to the postseason. That would certainly impact the players. But
they did have draft picks taken away.
We saw Hinch. We saw Luhnow get fired down there in Houston.
Right.
But Bregman's still going to line up and play third base. Altuve is going to still line up and play second base. They've got to eat a little bit of crow. But people are looking at it saying the guys that benefited, the players, they're not facing any kind of repercussions whatsoever.
Right. Well, the guys that started it, the guys that built it. I mean, I don't know if you guys follow The Athletic at all, but
yeah.
There's a fantastic article about Carlos Beltran and how he kind of led this thing and how he kind of oppressed any voices in the clubhouse that might even have thought about speaking out. And it was fascinating. And it's also, when I read the article, it takes me back, because that's exactly how the clubhouse is. And, listen, I don't know what would make it right. I don't know anything that makes it right unless we could go back in time and replay the series and have somebody else win. That ain't going to happen. So, what are you going to do? Baseball's got to move on and make sure it doesn't happen again. I don't know how you do that, but if you've got a excuse me. The other question I wanted to ask is, it makes you think about the fact that Mike Fiers is the first player to ever come out and out a team. Think about how many guys are on that team, and if he doesn't say anything, we still don't know about it.
Right.
How many other teams are like that? How many other players are like that? Because now you're seeing lawsuits, civil suits being filed by players who believe their career changed. And the kid that filed the lawsuit has a legit complaint. He had the worst inning of his career. He got set down. He never got back up.
Yeah, and he's doing it maybe for a little bit of a publicity stunt, but he's also saying he would give the money to charity. I'm with you. Yep. I think that he actually, it's an interesting case. It would be very hard to win, But I
Yeah.
think it's an interesting case. You talked about how when you read that piece in The Athletic about, the influence that Beltran had and even Cora, but definitely Beltran as the senior member of that team. Have you been in a clubhouse like that? I mean, you played for a lot of managers who are strong-willed, but have you?
Yeah.
Can you name an example of some?
Well, no, I mean, I was that guy in a sense in a couple clubhouses with other people. I mean, the clubhouse, the atmosphere in the clubhouse and the atmosphere when you leave the clubhouse to go to the dugout is what the veterans make it for the most part. And if you've got, and I've never been on a team. Well, that's not true. In '93, when I was at the Phillies, Darren Dalton was probably the best, the only guy I've ever played on where he led the whole team on and off the field. But it's always a couple guys. And there was enough of a veteran presence, in my opinion, to probably have spoke up. I'm not sure what I would have done in that situation. Being a pitcher, I probably would have been pissed about it, just because. You understand from a pitcher's perspective that it changes everything. And my thinking is, listen, there's 25, how many people know about this? 60, 70? Because the whole front office, for the most part, their analytics department, they were all in on devising methods to cheat. So I don't know. It's hard to say, but my goodness.
Kurt, and you mentioned Dalton '93, right? And you mentioned the Athletic piece and Cora and Beltran in '17 with the Astros. I mean, as a player, right and wrong. I mean, they could be that big of a presence, so influential to younger players, to where they're forcing you to do something that you don't necessarily want to do.
Yep. Yeah. Because I would argue it's probably less now than it used to be, but the fact of the matter is most 99% of the guys that when you get to the big leagues for that first time, you're just happy to be there. Mm-hmm. And you understand part of the minor league process is making you understand there's a hierarchy in the clubhouse. And you have to earn your way up that ladder. And it's not a macho tough guy thing more than it is got to prove yourself to your teammates kind of a thing, and it happens on the field. But yeah, I mean, there are times. I mean, listen, in 20 years of my career, I would tell you there were 50 fights in the clubhouse, physical fist fight. Maybe not 50, maybe 30 or 40. I don't know that you ever heard about more than one. I mean, what goes on in the clubhouse stays in the clubhouse kind of thing is a very big deal. And most of it is so you can. I don't know if you guys have ever been in a clubhouse.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it's probably I liken a clubhouse to a frat house with millionaires who don't have to go to school.
Sounds about right.
It is right, and the things that we do and say inside the clubhouse are because we're allowed to, because of who we're around, and that doesn't translate to the real world. Because of some of the things you heard in the clubhouse were said publicly, people, and especially in this day and age, players would be done. And so that's always been a big thing. And that this Mike Fiers, I don't blame him. I don't have any feeling one way or the other about. I don't know how he's going to be treated on his new team or any of that stuff. But I look at this like I look at the New England Patriots when they were taping the Rams practice. I'm pretty sure everybody in the NFL was trying to do that or doing it at some point.
We're talking with Curt Schilling. Okay, speaking of Boston, so you had this tweet where you said, "I will say this about the recent cheating revelations in MLB. I have zero doubts both teams won the respective World Series because of this." And you said because if it had been you in October and someone was doing this against you, you wouldn't have been able to get an out, as you said to us here. What are you expecting to happen in Boston? What are you expecting from this report from baseball?
Well, you know what? That was me doing what I do normally, which is engaging my mouth quickly and not thinking through.
You, Kurt? No, not at all.
Yeah. The Boston thing, I haven't dug in as deep in the Boston thing. I just know, and I don't want to. Alex is a very, very dear friend of mine. I love him to death. I still do. That hasn't changed. But I find it hard to believe that you would win a World Series doing something one place, go another place, and be doing it again and not be doing it to the extent you were doing it before. Mm-hmm. But like I said, if there was any potential or possibility that they were doing the things they were doing in Houston, I mean, that you can't really rig or fix a game any better than that. I mean, I like I said, let's use a real world example. If you have to face Clayton Kershaw and you don't have to worry about his curveball or his slider, I mean, those are wipeout pitches.
Those are.
If you can write those off, I mean, Clayton Kershaw becomes a pedestrian pitcher, which is when you look at his postseason numbers, you know, and then you look at the outing. Like I said, I went back and watched the game in Houston, that Kershaw lost the leads, and it's very obvious that how it happened.
Kurt, you've referenced Fiers here on a couple of occasions, and he got the ball rolling, right, with his piece and putting his name to it and being a former Astro. But the reports are out there, Athletic and everything like that, 10 to 12 teams went to Manfred, went to baseball over the last year and a half, 2 years, complaining about the Astros. Why did it take Fiers for Manfred to move here?
Well, I don't think it did. You got to remember, and I'm proud to say this, the Players Association is probably one of the strongest unions in the world. The most solid. There's the solidarity and the unified front is real. When you start doing things, well, I mean, first off, anybody gets wind of an investigation like this, then well, it becomes what it becomes now, right? I mean, it's front page news.
For sure.
And you're not. Oh, sorry, those are my dogs. You're not able to do what you need to do behind the scenes. I don't know that there wasn't stuff going on before, and it's my understanding, based on some of the letters I've seen, that they reached out and warned them. Different teams and at different times, but they were warned before they got caught, which makes it even worse. But I'm not so sure they weren't acting on the what they heard before. I just don't know that we got to see it. And like I said, I've seen some letters that made me believe they reached out to these teams and warned them, and the teams didn't listen.
We're talking to the three-time World Series champion, Curt Schilling. Curt, as a pitcher, we've been, this is one of the parts of the games that I don't particularly like, but the fact that the players feel like they police themselves in this way, I'll respect it. Hitting guys.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to Bregman and Altuve this season?
I have no idea.
You think pitchers are going to hit them?
I hit 52 guys in my career, and I think only 3 of them were accidental. But it was all for protecting my teammates. Either someone on my team got hit or thrown at. I didn't do it for performance stuff. I didn't, and as much as I love him, oh my gosh, I can see his face now. The guy that threw at Alex after he came back for the Red Sox, the pitcher,
Ryan Dempster.
I love Ryan. I thought that was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. And I think that will be like this. Your job's to win games. Period. You get paid $15, $20, $30 million a year. You're getting paid to win ball games. That personal stuff, you want to take it out on them, do it on your own time. If you have a 9-0 lead and you're comfortable, sure, go ahead, whatever you feel like doing. But getting yourself suspended for 7 to 10 days or whatever is not in the best interest of your team. They're going to pay. I'm not sure how, but I think baseball-wide, people will send them a message.
Curt, to a team that won a lot and had that unbelievable comeback, coming back from 3 bloody sock and all with the Red Sox. I mean, that was an unbelievable team, and you were as big of a big game pitcher as the sport's seen in quite some time. I'm curious about your thoughts on the Red Sox pairing off Mookie Betts. Red Sox fans are bothered. It's not like John Henry can't afford him. But to trade a guy at 27, 28 years of age, that's a top 5 player in the sport.
He's a Hall of Famer. If he stays healthy, he goes to the Hall of Fame.
How about seeing a franchise like Boston trading away Mookie Betts?
Well, I mean, that's I think saying they traded him away to have a lower payroll is, I think, somewhat intellectually disingenuous in this sense. They said they were going to get under the cap. They're 3-time losers on the cap. And the cap rules are, if you're over the cap for 3 times, you pay 100% luxury tax. You have to get back under $208 million to reset that, to go back to 15%. If that makes sense to you guys.
Yeah,
and
it does.
So what they want to do is they want to reset their number from 100 to 15. Listen, I've never seen a team get better trading a Hall of Fame player. I think the second deal was better than the first deal.
Yep.
But, I mean, who's the genius now if they get under the luxury tax and go out and sign Mookie Betts next winter as a free agent?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, I guess. I understand them having to reset the luxury tax, but don't you feel like when you hire a GM like Dave Dombrowski, who really only builds teams one way, Kurt? I mean, that's just by spending tons and tons of money, and then he gives out tons and tons of money. You can't be all that shocked, can you?
Nope. No, it really isn't that complicated, Maggie. I mean, it's very simple. It's just like you said. That's how Dave's always done it, and it's worked. And there was no reason to expect him to do anything different here, especially given the purse strings he had here. And he did what he did. They got a World Series, and World Series are billion-dollar trophies. The amount of money a team makes off a World Series win is mind-boggling. So I guess it was worth it. Now they're going to reset the tax, and they'll continue to be one of the highest payroll teams in the game after this year.
Yeah, we looked at the tax that they had to pay on 2018 was $11 million, which I feel like they make it in T-shirts and hats.
Exactly, and like I said, when you win a World Series, you make you make well into the nine figures, if not more, depending on who you are, based on every TV, advertising, and memorabilia and all of other stuff. So it pays for itself. But again, I I get the theory, and they said this last year. Excuse me. There was no mystery here. They said that they were going to have to get under the cap, and if you can do simple math and you look at their payroll, there was only a couple players that could actually move to do that.
No, I get it. It's just tough to see, trade bet.
No, I'm with you.
And listen, the Dodgers go out there and win a World Series, and they want to try and re-sign him. They've got, they're floating in money out there in Los Angeles.
And let's the under the surface stuff for me. You have a young black man at 27 years old who's a phenomenal human being. You could not want a better ambassador for your game in a city like Boston that's taken crap for decades, right? That's the one guy I don't want to lose.
Yeah. No, I think he meant so much to the organization, and it just seems crazy, and it seems like something they're absolutely going to regret. Curt Schilling, our guest, just while we have you, Kurt, your thoughts on the ideas about changes to the postseason. Did you like that initial idea from baseball that got leaked out to the New York Post? Is this something you'd be in favor of?
I wasn't a big fan of it, but I can tell you this. If I would not want to be a team in the postseason that had to pick my opponent. Because if you think about athletes, and I'm going to shoot my dog, hold on.
Please don't.
If you think about athletes, I mean, can you think of anything more
insulting,
enticing, or somebody saying, hey, we want to play you guys because we think we're going to kick your ass? Like, I want to be on the team you pick. I mean, that dynamic is very cool, but, I mean, I don't know where this – my guess is it came from the TV networks who are looking for, an NFL draft, college basketball bracket day for the Major League Baseball. And that was their idea. I'm not really sure it was a good one.
Kurt, the Hall of Fame is going to come around here. And I think you're a Hall of Famer. I think you're going to get
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think you're going to get into the Hall of Fame, and you deserve it. Why do you think, Kurt, why don't you think you've gotten into the Hall of Fame up until this point?
You know what? Listen, I don't mind doing interviews with anybody, but when somebody asks me a question I know that they know the answer to.
What, do you think it's the outspokenness?
Oh, yeah. Well, they've said it. The people that have not voted for me have written articles.
But, Kurt, that's that's nonsense. I mean, you look at what you were as a player and as a pitcher and as a performer, you're a Hall of Famer.
I can't do anything about that. That's why I can't do anything about it. It's a process completely out of my control. And the group of people who want to pass character judgment on me, I know those guys. They don't. There's a world full of skeletons in those closets too. So if they're gonna use the character clause for some reason and make up stuff about me, I can't do anything about that.
It doesn't frustrate you, Kurt?
No. I'm 53 years old. I got 4 kids. I've survived a lot, and life has been hard. And there's a lot of other things to worry about besides what a bunch of writers think of me.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you never apologized for wearing the shirt, right? Do you regret it?
I didn't wear the shirt.
Okay. Tweeting about it. I'm sorry, tweeting about it. Pardon me.
And by the way, as Twitters want to do, that tweet was in the context of a conversation that I was having about the modern day media committing suicide, which it's all politics and all that other stuff. But that tweet wasn't a standalone.
Right, but you don't regret it at all.
No, yes, it
You
didn't
do.
come off the way I wanted to. It came off exactly wrong.
Okay. Because I'm wondering why if you had an apology that it would have fallen on deaf ears. Like, why don't you think people would accept
Here's the other part. All the people commenting on the T-shirt that knew me knew exactly what they were doing. That's not me. I don't have. Do I have this hidden past of lynching people? Or it's stupid. And my mistake was trying to use Twitter to have a discussion, and that's on me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the place for nuance.
No.
It's
Well,
definitely not.
No, it's not. Not in any way, shape, or form.
If that's what you were going for.
Kurt, when you look back on your career, I'm curious because I mean, you go back to that bloody sock game. I was there a majority of that series. I think 5 out of those 7 games. The Diamondbacks. Which one do you look back at? What moments do you look back on your career you think that define you the most?
Well, first of all, you're not going to get me with that one because Boston fans have tried to do it for 15 years. If you think about it, I got to play in 3 of the most memorable World Series in history. Joe Carter in '93,
Yep.
the walk-off. In 2001, 9/11, and the 7-game series, one of the best World Series ever played.
No doubt.
And then in 2004, the comeback from down 3-0 against the Yankees. But people in Boston can't believe I don't just say Boston immediately. I grew up in Arizona. So being a member of the first team to ever, in any sport, to ever win a world championship in Arizona was a huge deal. And with 9/11 and everything that had happened and us going to New York and all those things, both of those were unbelievably significant. And I wouldn't pick a favorite child if I was picking one of those two. They both were amazing.
Kurt, final one for me. We're talking to Curt Schilling, and we started with the scandal, and maybe we can end there too. The idea about the buzzers. I mean, now you have players who are coming in and more emphatically denying it. The report said that there weren't, they didn't find any buzzers, but not everyone is buying it. Are you?
Yeah. I don't know if I can say this word. That's bull.
You can.
Well,
We'll paraphrase it for you. Can you find another way to say that, please?
Yeah, don't say it that. Yeah, clean up a little.
It's crap because you saw Josh Reddick in a photo. You saw multiple guys. There's no doubt in my mind they were doing it. And Altuve's reaction after the home run was the easy one for me. Again, life's not as complicated as we make it sometimes. Sometimes what you see is exactly what happened. I don't doubt for a second they did it. I mean, this is your Harvard, Ivy League, never played sports guy, right? The brainiac, the analytics people. We're going to come up with smarter ways to win games than other people, and that was one of them.
It certainly was. And you look back, I mean, there's certainly scandal and baseball kind of go hand in hand here, Kurt. When you look at this one, how big of a mark on the sport is it?
Well, I think that like every other scandal it depends on the fans. How do the fans feel about it? I mean, the fans are going to keep it alive or kill it. That's how it generally works. I mean, go look back on the 1994 strike. It ruined the game for 5 years?
Yeah.
Because the fans weren't coming back. The fans dictate how long these things live and breathe. And so, there will be no shortage of signs on the road for the Astros this year, which is going to be fun to watch because fans are smart and funny. They're going to come up with some good stuff.
Kurt, when you're watching the game nowadays, we got a couple special pitchers here in New York, and Cole came over from the Stros, obviously, with the Yankees, and also DeGrom. I mean, you're still connected with the game. Who do you like watching work on the mound?
Both. Garrett Cole last year was. I thought that was hands down, unequivocally, by a million miles, the biggest move of the winter. Garrett Cole in New York is very. I don't know. To me, Garrett Cole in New York right now is a prime Clemens who was in Boston in the 80s. I mean, this guy is. He is as electric as anybody alive, and he's got a presence, and he's an ace. He's the guy, there are a lot of aces, but there are very few ones. And I mean, when I say one, I mean you got a wild card game. Who are you giving the ball to? There's no discussion. That's a one. And it was what I always tried to aspire to be. They've got one. And I mean, my goodness, as long as he stays healthy, that contract will pay for itself over and over again. And I like the way they're going. And obviously, listen, they need to be healthy. The only thing, you don't wish for anything in spring training for the Yankees or Mets. No, don't care about the record. Just get through spring training healthy. And if they can do that, I like both teams. I like the Mets and some of the young talent with DeGrom, and I mean Noah Syndergaard he's a must watch. Hoping he takes that next step this year.
Listen, Kurt, the 6-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champion, World Series MVP, NLCS MVP. We appreciate your thoughts. Thanks
Kurt,
for joining
thank
us.
you so much.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
Kurt Schilling. Great stuff there. A variety of different topics.
He believes that the buzzers, he said,
yes.
it's BS.
Yes, that's it. You cleaned it up. He did.
He prepared us at least.
Yeah, he did.
He gave you
did.
that 1 second. Can I
Right.
say this? I'm saying it.
He got McMonaco right to the bump.
I was ready for it. I was ready for all interview. I was prepared.
See,
Nothing was getting snuck by me there.
that's the kind of preparation
Even if
we're
he did
looking
shoot
for.
his dog.
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll react to what Kurt had to say. Moose and Maggie with you right here, The Fan in New York.